So should I start the show
I mean,
now?
you could start it. And you usually start it.
What if you started it this week?
What do I say?
You could either say what I always say or you could say whatever you want.
Okay, what's up, guys? Welcome back to The Only Problem. This is the podcast show on the airwaves, on the internet, that is all opinion and no fat. Actually, there's a lot of fat, but all the fat is also opinion. It's a double heaping helping of opinion. Today on The Only Problem, you're joined as always by my co-host, cohort, and other things that start with C. That's Andrew Matsky. We call him Andy for short. And I'm
Hi.
Santino Vitale. No, hold on.
Oh, okay.
You can't say hi yet.
Okay.
I'll cue you. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me do that again.
I'm
We're
sorry.
joined.
Yeah. Well, I'll fix it in
We'll
in
fix
the
it.
edit.
We'll fix it. No. Hold on. It's important that the people see how the sausage is made, Andy. This is what happens all the time. We got to rein each other in. All right, I'm gonna do this again. You mess me up again, I'm gonna kill your whole family. I'm gonna burn the house down.
A fun fact about Santino and I, we're known for reining each other in.
Yes,
You
yeah.
might think we affect each other and like build each other up. No, we rein each
No,
other in.
we're always reining each other
The
in.
mitigating force.
We're mitigating force. We're always undercutting each other. And I swear, if you mess this up, you have a brother.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Do you have a cat? You have
No,
a dog?
you
You have a
know I don't.
father?
Yes.
Okay, I'll
Yes.
choke your father out. Like just
Right in front of you.
right in front of you. So, okay, let's
It's
do
a
this
callback
again.
if you haven't seen our licorice pizza episode,
Yeah.
last week's show, featuring Oscar Award winning director, recently Oscar Award winning director, Paul Thomas Anderson.
That's true.
And by featuring, I mean it's his movie. He's not in it.
He's featured because he's the director. All right, here we go. Take
I'll
two.
rein it in.
All right. And featuring Andy Matsky, the guy, the myth, the legend.
What's up? Was that
Okay.
better?
All right. You know what? I don't know if this is gonna.
It's shocking. This might be it. This I think is our final episode, guys.
Andy
I don't-
seems to have lost all ability to introduce himself.
I think this is it. This is the end of the show. But before we wrap it up,
Yeah.
wait, so okay, there was actually another bit of follow-up I wanted to do from last week's licorice pizza episode.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned the
Mhm.
fact that you were already a fan of the band Haim
Mhm.
before licorice pizza. How far back does your Haim fandom go?
Do you want me to do the thing like I always do, where I like give a date and I'm like back in blah blah blah? Or
I
do
want you
me
to
just
answer from the heart.
from the heart. About 2012, summer of 2012, 2013.
Okay.
Like their first album came out, and that was Days Are Gone, and that was the first time I heard it. A friend of mine sent me, I think, The Wire. They sent me the music video for that, and I was like, "This is cool." And there you go.
Okay, so
So
it's been a while. Wow,
it's
dang, I
been
had no idea.
yeah.
Because when you sent me them, there's been other reasons for you like telling me about them
Mhm.
that maybe the
Off
folks
air
at home,
reasons. Yeah.
off-air reasons. And then you sent me the steps,
hmm
and you
Which
were
is a
like,
banger.
which is it, yeah, certified bop status. Earlier in the year, you sent me another song and said it's the song of 2025. You sent me "Pump It Up" by
Yes.
Elvis Costello. I think the steps might be sneaking in, but we'll see. It's always unexpected.
It's a good race. Yeah.
It's always unexpected what turns out to be the song of the year. I'm not quite sure what 2025's was for us. There was a lot of bits around the song "American Nights" by Zach Bryan, which is a real sleeper pick of a
Yes.
choice. No one would have saw that coming. But regardless, I was trying to put it together because you'd sent me the song and you had mentioned other things about the band, and I was like, wait a second. When I was editing the episode, I was like, he mentioned that he's been a fan of them. So
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
For me, to
Haim
satisfy
fanboy.
my interest in your fandom of the band Haim. Because it also doesn't make much sense because they kind of appeared out of nowhere in my mind. Because I think when you mentioned them, you're like, oh yeah, this band. And I was like, who? And I was like, oh, cool. And they've done stuff with Taylor Swift and Thundercat.
Yeah.
And I just kind of don't quite understand the band yet because I've only heard one song of theirs. So,
Did I not send you more of their songs? I need to send you more of their songs.
I think it's only been the steps.
Okay, I'll send you more because the funny thing is, like, I always assumed they were a moderately known band. I didn't assume they were well known, but I figured given that they were Taylor Swift adjacent and some of their songs had, I believe, made it into a couple commercials or something, and I've heard their music like I hear their music regularly on the radio, like it's just around. I heard it at the mall the other day. I heard it at a restaurant.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just been in the background this whole time and I didn't know.
Could
I
be.
feel like they're kind of a band. This is a crazy pull to connect these two. I feel like they're kind of like a band like Krungbin, where like, or however
I
you
think
actually
they're
say that.
a little more than Krungbin. Krungbin,
No,
but
but
they're
I think they are because it's like Krungbin forever for a long time for a little bit there was like in all these commercials, all that. Like, granted, it is a different type of band, but
Mhm.
I feel like I don't know where you hear them and you just don't know. But I also just found out who Megan Maroney is. I don't know if you know who Megan
I don't
Maroney
know
is.
who the heck that is.
Megan Maroney is like some country pop lady who is kind of in the almost in the Sabrina Carpenter genre, but I think more country,
Oh, so just a country lady.
but also less of Sabrina Carpenter. But anyways, we're not
That's
talking about pop music.
that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. We're here to talk about
We're here to
what are
talk
we talking
about
about?
Hot Rod.
Oh yes, the seminal Lonely Island classic, Hot Rod.
Yes. Uh Hot Rod is a film about Andy Samberg's character Rod, who's a daredevil. And that's about all you need to know. There, I
That's
summarized the movie.
that's the whole movie.
The plot of the movie is loosely he has the stepdad who needs a heart transplant, and so there's a fundraiser for his stepdad's heart, and him and his stepdad have this negative relationship that Andy Samberg feels like they need to perpetuate, which is like
Yeah,
they fight all like literally fight all the time in like kind of cartoonish fashion, and he hates him so much. Andy Samberg hates his stepdad so much that he wants to keep him alive so he can kill him.
yeah. Which is, whenever a movie does that, you know that you're in for a real time.
Yeah. So this is an interesting in the only problem pantheon. This is an
Yeah.
interesting episode because you had watched this movie before. Had
hmm
you seen all of it before?
hmm
He'd seen all of it before, and I made you rewatch it so that we could talk about this movie.
I mean, to be
Um,
fair, I'd seen all of it in 2012. Like
yeah.
summer of 2012, a friend of mine lent me the DVD. I watched it at like 8 in the morning one day,
What?
just just because I was
What were you
bored.
doing?
I was awake early and I was bored, and I was like, I was
We
gonna
talk
watch this
about like
movie.
giving movies the most you can give, like helping a movie out, and that's like the opposite. No
Well,
movie is good at 8 a.m.
I knew that I wasn't gonna care, so I was like, let's just get this out of the way. And here's how little I remembered of this movie. I remembered the opening stunt because I remembered a stuntman got hurt doing it. I remember him crying and yelling, "Get out of my room." And that was it. So basically, the first two
Okay.
minutes of the movie, and I forgot basically everything else. And boy, I'm gonna have a good time forgetting it all over again.
Okay, so here's where, and like, I don't know, extra behind the scenes, extra how the sausage is made. This week we're recording a little later than we normally do, and this episode's
Yeah.
like a little more condensed than we'll probably do. So we're kind of gonna get here already. Why don't you like this movie? Because here's what I was watching this movie last night,
Mhm.
and I was like,
As was I.
either Santino is like fundamentally presuppositionally
hmm
against kind of like Andy Samberg Lonely Island humor, which I could not remember if you were, because I was like, this is a
hmm
funny movie, and this is honestly like a funnier movie than I remember.
hmm
So either Santino is like fundamentally against it, or he just has a thorn in his side with this movie for some reason. Like for some reason, he just can't enjoy this movie.
It's a bit of both, I think. If we're being, yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm very self-reflective, I think it's a bit of both. It's mostly just that I don't. So this movie, I did a bit of research. This movie was originally written in the 90s as a vehicle for Will Ferrell.
hmm
And you can tell. You can tell that effectively they kind of just found a movie laying around and went, let's do this ourselves, our version of it. And it doesn't translate, in my opinion. In my opinion, the movie is the reason it doesn't work for me, I'm going to keep making this very subjective because I know that there are people who like this movie, although it was a very commercial flop. 25 million somehow went into this movie, which is only 10 million less than they spent on True Grit. And I can't even really fathom that. But 25 million, and they made like I think 14 at the box office. So it did not do well.
Yikes.
Yeah. And I personally I can see why. But being perfectly objective, I think the movie's well made. And there are funny bits. What occurred to me last night, this is a bit of a deviation, but I was watching it and I went, you know what? I know exactly why Andy loves this movie. It's Montage the movie. I didn't keep
realized
track.
that too.
I didn't keep track of it. I should have been counting. There's
I
well
realized
over
that
like
watching
7
it.
montages.
Yeah, I realized that watching it last time. Yeah. So, but continue.
Well, the entire
You were
movie's a
talking about me.
montage. Like
Yeah.
the first 5 minutes are set up, and then he's like, I'm gonna make you better so I can kill you. And then it's just like montage for the next hour plus. It's just montages of him training, montages of him getting hurt, montages of him training, montages of him getting hurt, a little bit of character moment, and then more montage, and then montage, montage, and then the movie's over. And you're like, wow. All right.
So to come at it from my perspective, I realized watching the movie this time around, and with like more of a critical eye, which saying that, talking about this movie just makes me feel like such a loser. But watching this movie with a critical eye, it's basically a bunch of Lonely Island skits with the framework
Very
of
loosely strung
with
together.
with the framework of another movie's script below.
Right. That's
And
what doesn't
so
work for me.
I think, and I see, and that's where we'll get to that in a bit. But I realized that, and I realized, oh my gosh, there's just so many montage moments, or like here's a funny, and it is a montage. It literally is a montage. But where he goes to the woods and like rage punches out his anger and
Yeah.
starts doing all those flips, and then it cuts to him falling down the hill for like almost a minute. It's like, oh, this is the way my brain works when I'm like, I'm gonna be funny. And like I think that's part of what we've discovered in doing this process and just goofing off, is that I love a good montage. I mean, and like especially comedic montage, we have whole inside jokes that are extended montages, is essentially the whole concept of this. So for me, this is why this is a perfectly acceptable movie, because
I mean, look, I'm a fan of all those things. I don't think they sustain, an 88-minute runtime. It's funny as a concept to say, what if we made a whole movie that was just a montage? But to actually put it in practice is really not all that fulfilling of a watch. You get about 10 minutes into it, and in my opinion, you kind of go, well, okay, I think my biggest beef, the only problem with this movie, I'm not even going to pick on the montage necessarily, because I gave this some thought last night. I'm like, I think the only problem, if I could narrow it down to one, is that tonally, I feel like the Lonely Island humor mixed with the montages, mixed with what the movie is, it feels very patchwork, right? It feels like this was originally a vehicle for somebody else, and then we had Andy Samberg do it, and then he kind of did his thing, and then we basically got rid of the script except for the framework of it, and we kind of improvised our way through it, which then also means that none of the scenes really hang together anymore because we just kind of made it a new thing. And I think the biggest example of the tone not knowing what it is in terms of what type of humor it is, for me, was the Cool Beans moment, which that moment was originally cut out of the movie, and then they put it back in. And I wish they would have left it out, because that moment, the minute that happened, I thought, man, that kind of thing could work really well.
So explain the Cool Beans moment for those who don't know.
For those at home. So at one point, Andy Samberg,
honestly, like I'm following with you
right,
for this.
At one point, Andy Samberg and his brother kind of like have this "are we cool" moment. Like some things went down, and now they're evened out now, and they're like, "Are we cool?" He's like, "Yeah, cool beans." He goes, "Cool beans," and he goes, cool beans, cool beans, cool beans. And they start doing weird voices. And then all of a sudden, the movie just starts becoming very self-aware and it starts editing itself into cool, 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 cool beans, cool, cool beans, cool beans. And they start like doing this like almost rap with it. And it's all editing and they're like rocking and rolling the footage for like way too long. For like a
For a
solid
long
40
time.
seconds. Yeah. Maybe even a minute. I don't know. And then we just kind of pretend like that didn't happen anymore and they go cool beans and then they leave and the scene's done. And I realized when I watched that, like that can work in a spoof movie like Airplane or Naked Gun or something where it's like the laws of physics don't apply. You're watching a live action cartoon and they know they're in a movie, right? Except everything else this movie did for the rest of the runtime was still absurd, but it effectively lived by some rules. And then at that point, the movie's just like, let's remind you we're a movie. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really fit. For me personally, the best comedy in movies, anything long form, generally comes from the characters. And in this movie, there really are no characters. Andy Samberg is just Andy Samberg. Bill Hader is just kind of a hillbilly. Everybody else is just kind of stupid. Will Arnett is just Will Arnett. He's always just
Yeah.
kind of mean, So, you compare that to something like,
See, what's interesting though. So okay, so to
Go
cut you
ahead.
off,
Cut me in half, Andy. Just
I'm gonna cut you apart.
Yep.
I think the cool beans moment does not work. I think watching it, this time I was like, this is weird. This is the most like this feels like an internet short from the same
Yeah.
time frame,
For
but it's
88
in this,
minutes.
but it's for the in this movie,
Mhm.
and which yeah, this thing is like I think that works. But what's funny, that does not work.
Right.
The movie as a concept works as a whole, but there's other moments that are very like, wait, what's going on?
Mhm.
That do work better. I think the character of Richardson stood out to me this time. Who again, the character of the guy, the Asian guy who
It
kind
just
of
always dances.
it's just dances.
Yeah, that's like an SNL digital short.
Like that really worked this time for me. I don't know why. I mean, it's just montage, silly, goofy, haha, funny.
Mhm.
But that really worked this time where it was like, okay. And the movie acknowledges, wait, what's going on? Because there's
Mhm.
that like weird, he's watching the footage back and Richardson is like cutting himself. And so at Andy Samberg's brother is like, wait, wait, what? And
Mhm.
I think it's funny. He's just throwing those things in the air and dancing. That works for this movie. I think more so than the cool beans moment. And I just
Yeah,
wanted
Cool
to shout
Beans
out
doesn't
like
work at all.
cool beans should have stayed on the cutting room floor.
But I think you bring up a great point. Is that the movie, it starts with Andy Samberg. His dad died because he was a stuntman, and so Andy Samberg wants to be a stuntman for his honor, and he wants to be respected by his stepdad, who doesn't respect him, and also Sissy Spacek is his mom. Like, why are we spending money like this? Like, it's just crazy to me. Anyway, and Ian McShane is the stepdad, and so, but then it turns out that like this was all a lie, and his real dad was never a stuntman. He just got a picture with Evel Knievel. And so then there's like the Dark Night of the Soul moment where Andy Samberg's like, oh, I don't care about nothing. I'm not gonna be a stuntman. And then like they get
In that moment, though,
Sure.
there is a hilarious thing because he decides to grow up and he wears this polo.
Mhm.
And I'd never noticed this watching the movie before, or at least I didn't remember it. He goes to the store and he has a shopping cart full of just liquor,
Yeah,
bottles of liquor, and that's honestly really funny.
There's a
And it's
lot of
him.
liquor.
He already has a shopping cart full of liquor, and then he's going down like an alcohol aisle and like looking at things like, and his friends are like, "What are you doing, man?"
Yeah.
Anyways,
But yeah, we have that moment, and I don't know. I feel like this movie. I remember when it ended, I thought, well, that felt like a time capsule. It felt like that moment in the mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s, where YouTube stuff was going viral, Lonely Island stuff was taking off, the internet was exploding, and there was almost that like Vine humor where it's just like random loud noises, things that just happen. And that stuff works in the short form, but you can't hang a whole movie around it unless that movie is a spoof movie, right? Like again, Naked Gun, Airplane, something like that. And even those movies have a very specific tone. There's a shelf life to it. They're very indicative of the time and place that they were made. But I don't know, this one to me felt like it needed to either be more of a spoof movie and just run head on at it, because then I could kind of go, okay, this is what we're doing, right? Because you had the cool beans moment, and then you had like that moment at the end where like Rod's walking slow motion with his friends, victoriously to the field to do his jump, and then like a crowd starts forming behind them and they're all singing, but then the crowd starts attacking each other and like looting stuff. And again, that's
and then there's
really
like a
funny.
couple making out.
Yeah. That's really funny. And it sounds a lot like the kind of crap you and I throw around just as a funny concept. And that works. But if you've got, if there's like nothing to hang around it, it's just, I have no words, Andy. It's like either be all that and be just a spoof movie through and through, or be like a grounded character-based comedy. You're trying to give us a bit of both, and you're doing a script that was designed for a different performer, and it still feels like it, and it's just all over the board. Also, how the heck old are these guys?
I think that's very ambiguous. Look, I had a feeling what this episode would be like going
Yeah.
in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did some like preparation. I
Right.
did my homework, and it's in ink. So I did this before we recorded. And this
Okay.
was like my prediction. And this is, I think, to help drive to the folks at home what this episode's like. Here I made a Venn diagram, and it says this episode.
Uh-huh.
And as you can see, there's two distinct circles.
That don't
One's labeled
touch.
they don't touch at all. One, and circle's a loose definition. One's labeled Santino and the other's fun. That's how I
And
thought this
those two
episode
never
could go.
touch.
Yeah. For this episode, these do not touch. Where
Mhm.
Santino and fun, they just don't intersect. Unfortunately, Santino chooses to not enjoy himself while watching this movie. That is effectively an hour and a half long clip show.
Yep.
But still, that's like,
Mm.
you know what? That's what I think it's gonna be. I mean, I didn't think you'd hate it, but you just can't let yourself enjoy this for some reason, and I feel
It's
bad.
it's not that I can't let myself. It's that I truly found very little that worked for me. There were moments that were funny, but those moments, they weren't consistently delivering in between. Like I would laugh, and then there would just be a long amount where things were happening. Again, I feel like it's a really good time capsule. I feel like it shows you kind of what was going on at the time and what the culture was and what they do. But I don't know, for my taste, I want to know when I'm sitting down to watch a spoof movie, and that's not what this is. And so, I can't.
Yeah, that's fair. So I made another Venn diagram, which is called Why Hot Rod is Perfectly Fine.
Uh-huh.
Because for the record, I think this movie's like good. I'll get ahead of not to get too far ahead of ourselves. I think this is
Right.
good. This is not a movie that like I necessarily have like a ton of sentimental attachment for. I
Mhm.
first saw it when I was in like high school or something, and like kind of forgot it. Then I rewatched it like last year with my buddies and had a pretty darn good time watching it.
Mhm.
And I I think it's good. This movie's nothing crazy. This is not necessarily an influence on me in really any way. It's a perfectly fine movie. And here's why. It's kind of this intersection, and I was reminded while I was making this Venn diagram that I don't necessarily know how Venn diagrams work.
Yeah,
But
because
let's
the
look
middle
at it.
section doesn't actually touch anything at all.
And that's the thing,
There
is
are
that's
three
like
Venn diagrams that join on the outside, but not the inside.
yeah.
It's amazing.
And because it's not, if it maybe it hit it perfectly, it doesn't hit the target. We don't land the ship just right. It's I
Right,
guess
right.
kind of the subconscious thing. We have random. This
Mhm.
movie's very random.
Yes.
All over the place. Part of the humor of this movie is it's random humor. Like you're saying, it's like this pre-Vine humor. You have
Mhm.
moments like where Andy Samberg and his brother go, "Ancestors protect me," and
Mhm.
it's out of nowhere, and I love it. The next is funny. This movie's funny.
Right.
I think you'd agree. There's funny parts of this movie.
Yeah. Mhm.
Not necessarily the most funniest things you've ever heard, and not
Mm.
necessarily like the most character based. It's no Napoleon Dynamite,
Right.
and it's character based humor, but it's funny. It's
Mhm.
perfectly funny, perfectly fine, funny. And then this last thing in quotes is nostalgia,
Mhm.
which is interesting because that's almost kind of what you're saying with it being a time like capsule. Because this
Mhm.
movie captures something both in like the era it's trying to be. It's kind of anachronistically growing up at some point, and it's starring guys who act like children but are old enough to be drinking beer,
Right.
and it's very confusing. So, like, when this movie takes place and how old everyone is, and yeah. But yeah, so basically, and I think I spelled one of these words wrong, but on this side of the Venn diagram, it's not a Venn diagram. These are just points. It's funny, quotable, because there's some pretty darn good lines, even though they're forgettable. When you write them down, they're pretty darn great. And there's a lot of the fact this movie is so random and it throws so much at you, nowhere near white noise levels, but it throws a lot at you. There's lines like that Bill Hader, when they're filling up that pool, says, "Pools are perfect for holding water, man." And they're just great lines. Great lines. So it's funny, it's quotable, and it's not raunchy.
It's not raunchy. They
It's
pulled
PG-13,
it back.
but there's also there is a lot of weird stuff, but it's not rated R. So basically, it's not rated R.
They managed to squeeze in. What's on the bottom of that though?
Andy, age 22.
Okay,
I was trying.
I was trying to figure out what you had down there.
Those are my Venn diagrams. That's my homework for defending why this movie's perfectly fine.
I love it.
Which I don't necessarily know if you disagree with.
I don't disagree with it. So I think you bring up a good point, because you said that there are good lines, but they're forgettable. And then you said the movie's perfectly fine. I agree. It's perfectly fine. You're not necessarily going to remember it, and it just kind of goes by. It's a good time capsule. It's not really great. It's not boring, but it's just kind of there. Yeah, it's random.
But and it's a Venn diagram, but there's a hole in the middle.
There's a hole in the middle, right. Now, the question is, did you put the hole in the middle there on purpose, or did you just forget how Venn diagrams work?
Oh.
let the reader understand.
Yeah, let the reader.
Yeah, no, I mean, I look, objectively, it's fine. I think the problem is that it's just fine. In a mountain of mediocre comedies, this one is in the mountain. It's not on the mountain. It's not at the top of the mountain. It's not under the mountain. It's just part of the mountain. There are far better comedies. There are far worse. It put me in the mind of a really terrible comedy to a point called Sasquatch Gang, which came out not long after. Yes. Have you ever heard of this movie?
I don't think so.
Dude, I should make you watch Sasquatch Gang, but then I'd have to rewatch it, and I'm not going to do that. It's horrendous, and it stars Justin Long and no one else you've ever heard of. And it came out not long after the Napoleon Dynamite, like people trying to capitalize on that Napoleon Dynamite vibe, which is also kind of part of Hot Rod's thing. And that movie just didn't work at all. But there were moments in that movie. Oh, it's terrible. It's horrendous. It's about people who try to fake like a Sasquatch sighting or something. I remember very little of it, other than one really funny part where this big fat guy walks into a convenience store and he just punches this girl in the face and she's like the cashier. I forget what the heck was even going on, but people were making fun of her for being fat, and so she had her mouth wired shut so she wouldn't eat, so she'd lose weight. And then like, I forget what the heck happened, and then this fat guy just like punches her and takes something. And it was just so random. You went, well, okay. That was funny. All this to say, Hot Rod is better than Sasquatch Gang, but it's not better than Napoleon Dynamite. And it's funny to me because it feels kind of like it wants to be a bit of a Napoleon Dynamite. But Napoleon Dynamite only cost $400,000, and this thing cost $25 million. And I'm still just like, wow, that's a lot of money to just throw at some people to make a movie that have never made a movie before. Like, if you know Lorne Michaels, I guess that's the lesson. If you know Lorne Michaels, then you're set.
Yeah, man.
You're going to the bank.
So any other thoughts, comments?
I don't have many. I would like to hear some of what you've got, because you said you've got some thoughts, you've got some quotes written down. Like, are there things you want to touch on? Because frankly, I watched the movie last night at very late at night. Like, I watched it and then I went to bed, and I'm still having a hard time remembering certain moments. So
I think, okay, so one of the funniest moments to me is when he starts to plan. This is just like a greatest hits. And we said greatest hits about Licorice Pizza, then talked about the whole movie.
Yeah, we talked about the entire movie. Well, that's
But
what
this actually
happens when
is,
we really like a movie is we
yeah.
just basically retell the movie.
Uh, there's okay, so it's a montage moment. There's a moment when Rod is like, "Okay, here's our plan to save my stepdad,"
Hmm.
and then Bill Hader's character remembers he has work, and then they're like, "Well, where are you going, man?" He's like, "Well, to work." And then the montage takes over, and it's Rod telling them the plan, but it's all around Bill Hader's job at an ice skating rink, and I think that's very funny. And
Hmm.
it's most funny when then there all of a sudden we cut to them by the dumpster, and Rod's no longer in the middle talking, but it's a homeless guy, and he's talking about like aluminum can, like we open these bags and we get a bunch of aluminum cans, and then Rod comes out and is like, "What are you guys doing? Like, get back in here."
Right.
But it's all of Rod's friends just who kind of follow this one, it are now listening to this homeless guy and apparently are like equally as invested in this homeless guy's plan to like make some money. And I think
Hmm.
that's funny. That's a good moment. "I've been drinking green tea all day" is a line that's said.
Okay, okay. I want to camp on that moment really quick because that is probably my favorite moment in the movie.
What's that guy's name? The actor's name?
Danny McBride.
Yeah, Danny McBride.
He's
Start.
actually got some of the best moments in the movie.
Oh, for sure. He beats up this, yeah, Rod. Okay, so
Yeah,
the
set the
the
scene for the
we'll
folks
set
at
the
home.
scene. Rod, it's during this, like you said, 45
It's
minute
during like the
long
fourth
training montage.
montage.
Yeah, it's during the fourth montage where he's like, "Okay, my my safe word is whiskey," which that's another moment that like they mercifully cut short, where they're all saying all these what words.
Yeah, which is just lifted right out of Family Guy because Stewie already did that with Cool Whip. Like
But
that's just
yeah,
stolen from Family Guy. So I wish they would have left that out. But go on.
so he says my safe word's whiskey, and then they put him on this like skateboard down a hill,
Hmm.
and they like send him down early, and he's immediately screaming whiskey,
Hmm.
and then he rams into this like oh, what's that called, a camper. he,
Like a
he like
Winnebago. Yeah.
yeah, he rams into this Winnebago, and this guy comes out and is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And Danny McBride's like, "I got this. I've been drinking green tea all day," and then just starts beating the crap out of this guy. And like saying lines like,
Beats him with the traffic cones. Like
yeah,
I go to what is it? Something
it's
make
like,
me
"I
go
go
to
to church
church.
every Sunday. I go
You're
to church
gonna
every Sunday. You're
yeah
gonna let the demons out of me."
yeah. That's what it is. You're gonna let the demons
Wailing
out of
on
me.
this guy.
It's
And then
amazing.
they take over from Rod being like, "I think I'm hurt," to be like, "Oh, we got to get him off," and like
Hmm. And then
feeling
he takes
away.
the dude's hat and he's like, "This is my hat now." Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, I love Danny McBride's part, and I love Bill Hader, but I feel like he was really underutilized here. Bill Hader's just kind of like, "Hey,
Yeah.
man," and like that's it.
I think Bill Hader has some of the funniest moments, like when his sister comes out and is like, Mom's asking if you want juice,"
Mhm.
and he's like, "Of course we do. Don't ask. Bring it out." Another great line when we first learn about the stepdad's heart problem is like Rod comes into the house and he's laying on the couch and he asks like, "Is this some kind of interactive theatrical art piece?" And it's
Hmm.
a great line delivery. It's great.
Hmm.
That's great. Life is short. Stunt it is great. And my notes end at him in the liquor store, which isn't even the end of the movie. One of my favorite moments in the movie, and I can wrap it up here, is once Rod makes the big jump and earns all the money for
Hmm.
his stepdad's conveniently priced surgery, Ebenezer Scrooge shows up
Yeah.
and offers everyone a Christmas goose.
See, which is again like a Naked Gun moment. Like the
Yeah,
movie almost is a spoof movie, and I wish it would have just fully committed to being a spoof movie.
yeah. It's kind of, yeah, it's stuck in between a coming of age
Hmm.
movie
Which
that's
requires
funny.
characters and sincerity
Yeah.
and
And
grounded antics.
I think just at least sincerity, and
Mhm.
then a Lonely Island spoof movie.
Right.
So yeah.
That's I think, and that's like I say, I feel like that's kind of the only problem here is like we're in a weird territory where it's not quite enough to be it doesn't have enough heart to be coming of age and it doesn't have enough insanity to just be a spoof movie. And so we're kind of like, where are we? Because there are some parts that work real great. And when Danny McBride's on, it's great. When, that whole thing with all the people start rioting, that's pretty great. There's some pretty great stunts in the movie. Like I can
Oh
see where
yeah.
some of the budget went. Like that's stuntmen were doing some dangerous stuff, and it reads like it looks really dangerous. But I don't know. There was a moment earlier in the movie because I forgot that Will Arnett was in this. I forgot almost every bit of this movie. And there's a part when and you see this another thing about this movie is there are some things that are funnier in hindsight. It's kind of like we were talking last week about Licorice Pizza, where it's like when you're watching it, you feel the length and you're like, ah. But then once it's done, the length kind of gets shortened in your mind and you only remember the highlights, right? Because this movie is the way that we tend to joke about things. The concepts are funnier than the actual execution, in my opinion. So there's a moment when Rod's gonna like try to ask Denise out. And then her boyfriend drives up, and Will Arnett gets out of the car, and he's standing there talking to him. And in the background, this entire time, Bill Hader and Danny McBride have been dancing, and they're still just back there, and they're like spinning around. I can't fully spin, but they're just like spinning around with their arms out, and that's the whole dance. That's really funny as a concept, and it's funny as a visual. It's funnier in my memory though than when it was happening.
Then that Two of Hearts moment, like it's a hard cut to Two of Hearts and them dancing, and
Mhm.
then Danny McBride shoves the one guy into the bus. Like that's
Right, a couple times.
conceptually,
Mhm.
yeah, really funny.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. I feel like there are enjoyable moments. I wish they had reworked it in a different direction. I wish that they had either committed fully to the spoof thing or committed fully to having it have some heart and grounding it a little more. Um, Also, for me personally, Andy Samberg as a lead outside of SNL, like he did hilarious things on SNL, but as a lead, like I can't get into Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I can't get into movies where he leads because he's so himself, right? And he's just so kind of over the top that he always feels like he's in a spoof movie even when he's not. So you can't really ground a thing with somebody who's doing that, you know. Whereas Will Ferrell can be really outrageous and nuts too. I mean, you look at Step Brothers, you look at all that, but you could also look at, say, um, Stranger Than Fiction, or even moments in Elf, where like he can still kind of bring it in, and he can give you that like grounded emotional moment that allows you to relate to the character. Whereas Andy Samberg's always just kind of up here, and he's never really letting you in. It keeps you very much at an arm's distance, and that's a recipe for disaster when it comes to coming of age. So that I know that's super nitpicky for like what is effectively just a dumb comedy from the mid 2000s, but that's my beef.
That's what we're here for, man.
Yeah.
We are here for nitpicks and disapproval and
That's what Sammy's here
angst.
for. Shout
Yeah.
out to Sammy if he is
What's
still
up?
listening. But
If you
he's
are, I'm impressed. Thanks, man. If you made it through Licorice Pizza and now we're like, I want more.
yeah. Basically, if
I'm
he made it,
flattered.
because
I'm
I
flattered.
believe he told me when we left the restaurant, he's like, I'm pretty sure he's like, I don't even think I made it through the movie, Licorice Pizza. So, boy, will he be disappointed to find out that the podcast is just us recounting blow by blow moments from the movie and then talking about our opinions about them. Because
Yeah.
I told him, I'm like, dude, you really don't need to listen to this.
I think I've also tried to talk people out of listening.
Yeah, it's not
Like it's
entertaining.
not that cool. It's more like a public log
It
of
really is.
us talking about movies.
Yeah.
That if you really feel like it, you can join us.
If you're really
But
invested in the movie.
yeah,
Yeah. But if you're not, like you're just listening to people describe a movie, it's kind of like the AM radio station in the movie getting exclusive rights to a very visual thing, such as a stunt, and then
yeah,
describing it. And when I describe to them your jump, AM radio will live. It's like, no, that's no one wants to hear you describe action to them. And that's what we do. We're
yeah.
like, we're like, we're
We're
like the
like
Chris
the
Parnell.
the
Yes,
joke in Hot Rod.
we are. We're the joke and hot rod. We're just going to describe to you the movie, assuming you've seen it. And if you haven't, well, what are you here for?
They're here for us, and I'm flattered. I appreciate it. Means more than you know. Okay, so do you like this movie? You just left. Santino is gone,
I'm
guys.
gone. Um, I don't like it. I don't hate it. I'm just like, I'm indifferent toward it. It's forgettable. It's got some funny moments. I like certain concepts in it. I like the look of the film. There's something that we did in these like coming of age raunchy comedies of the mid 2000s where they shot them with very warm hues and punchy cinematography, and then they found production designers and locations that looked like the 70s a lot. Like
Yeah.
there's this movie, there's Superbad, which has a really heavy 70s aesthetic, even though it's modern day. And then there's Juno and a couple other ones. And they all came out around the same time. They're all kind of in the same vein of humor. Some of them even share, like Bill Hader's in Superbad, and like there's some crossover. And they all kind of look like the same movie. And I don't know if that was like a conscious decision in Hollywood to go, we're going to make comedies look like this now. Oh, Pineapple Express has like a 70s
Yeah.
aesthetic. Um, I don't know when that happened exactly, like why, and I don't know when exactly it stopped. But for a brief bubble of a few years, comedies looked like that, and I kind of missed that. Like you were saying, there's a nostalgia there. So I
Yeah.
like
There's
that.
there's quote nostalgia, and there should
There's
maybe be a
quote
question
nostalgia.
mark.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like
missing the question
what
mark.
what is this? What is this a nostalgia for? Because it's set in modern day, but it looks like
Hmm.
it's either the early 2000s
Hmm.
or the 70s.
Right. And
No.
then there's montages that are very 80s.
Oh, that's what. Okay, another thing we need to talk about in this movie is the sheer volume of Europe needle drops that there are. It's great. I'm all there for it.
It's funny because, 2007, that was a full 9 years before the 80s wave actually hit. Because the 80s wave didn't hit until Stranger Things happened in 2016. And so this movie's kind of ahead of its time. Because I can't think of too many other movies that, despite the 70s aesthetic, really threw a bunch of 80s at you.
Superbad has a bunch of like 70s
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah, Superbad is like all, I don't remember if it's Parliament. There's just a whole bunch of funk music. And technically, Regular Show, I think, came out in 2010 or 11, and that has a really heavy 80s vibe, which that's a cartoon, so
Yeah,
it really didn't count, but
it's a cartoon.
it's a cartoon.
So you didn't like this movie?
I'm not going to give it a great rating. I didn't hate it.
I'm not going to give it a great rating either.
Yeah. It's
Let's get to the rating. What are you going to give this movie?
if I'm going to be objective, I'd give it a 6. It's short, it doesn't really waste time. It's not boring. If I was being subjective, I'd give it, because I didn't particularly care for it, I'd give it like a 5.5.
I was going to give this movie a 5.9 because
Oh, wow.
I think it's like it's good,
Mhm.
but also it's not like, oh yeah, it's good.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not something you would necessarily recommend unless you do a podcast where you can't say no to what the person recommended.
Yeah. Unless I get to go and you're gonna watch this.
This is kind of like Impractical Jokers, where like they couldn't say no to a punishment, and it's like good or bad, we can't say no to a movie. So
Yep.
unless you have friends like that, ladies and gentlemen, I can't think of too many people that would recommend Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Like
So,
walk, don't run to see this movie.
exactly. So tread lightly. It does not have my heart. I
Yeah, no,
assume it does not have yours in
no.
any sort of way.
Mm-mm.
And here we are.
Here we
That's the
are.
show.
Here we are where?
We may have had at the end of the episode.
Oh,
We may have had a rocky start,
I didn't know I
but
went anywhere.
you've gone on a journey. You just don't know
Yes.
it yet.
Yeah.
You're spinning in your chair now. You're mobile this episode.
I'm standing on my chair and I'm letting it do what it wants to do.
Are we keeping the like what's up next week a surprise?
I mean, how has it affected the ratings?
Not at all.
Well, then I guess it doesn't matter because I think we need to discuss what I'm having you watch because I've given it thought and I have like 3 different titles I could recommend.
Okay. Do you want to do this on air, off air,
I
side
mean,
air?
side air.
Yeah.
Is that when we just kind of go over here and talk
Yeah.
down in the lower corner of the frame? Yeah,
Hey.
we just get low. I mean, we could probably talk about it off air and keep it a surprise for the viewers at home. For
Okay.
anybody playing along.
For anyone playing along at home, next week we'll have another episode, probably.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. There's definitely another episode. Andy's going to watch something he's never seen. It's either going to blow his mind and he's going to be like, I can't believe that this kind of cinema's not been in my life. Or he's going to be like, that was the worst thing ever. And I can see that it's payback for Hot Rod and all the Godzilla and Hell House LLC and all the other things that you've made me watch. And I'll be like, well, you never know. So you
I
got to
haven't
stay tuned.
I haven't seen a lot of things in my life, and most of them have been bad. So that's the show. Thanks for listening. If you want more from either of us, stick around, subscribe, like, comment, share. Thank you for listening. If there's any single ladies out there who are interested in a date with Mr. Vitale, you may reach him through the email in our description.
Through the email. I didn't know you were giving out our email as like a way.
Not your personal
for-
email.
I know
The
show
yeah.
email. I didn't know that that's what it was for.
It's on my card when I go, hey ladies, here's my card. That's actually what it is. It says
Wow.
only problem with Santino and Andy.
Okay, I didn't know that we I didn't know we had that going on. I should have been like, man, I could have been using that for months. I didn't know. Here I am out here, throwing the difficult pitches, and yeah, I could have been doing softballs this whole time.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, now you know.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in more Venn diagrams, movie reviews, this episode's mercifully short.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Compared to the last like 3 episodes that have all been over an hour.
Yeah.
So
Which is really funny because every time we talk, we're like, oh, it's probably not going to be that long. I mean, Licorice Pizza, I think we knew, but there's other episodes where we've been like, it's not going to be that long. And then it's like an hour and a half. And I'm editing it and I'm like, what the heck? What the heck? Past Andy and Santino.
You actually edit these?
Okay, so I edited Licorice Pizza. I edited it down a bit. Mostly because there was content in it that I was like, we don't need that.
Extra spicy.
There was extra spicy stuff, even though I left in some. I mean, it kind of was arbitrary. I was like,
as it usually is.
It usually is. It's usually kind of randomly like how I feel while I'm editing.
Andy's very arbitrary when it comes to his omissions.
Yeah, and so
I don't like this, but that's okay. But I'll have none of that. Andy's he's like a tyrant king who will just strike through anything that displeases him.
And so I did that. I did that with like I was talking about the scene where she I did it with that scene, and I did it with like some other things in that episode. But most of the other episodes I know. And I think I did that partially with a couple things.
That's actually probably a good call. I was thinking about that after the fact. I was like,
Yeah, so I think I cut that down a bit, and there was like one other moment, but that other moment might have been like not because I'm a tyrant of what's okay. It was more like something, I don't know, I don't remember. And then all the other episodes I don't actually edit down.
Right. And you're cutting this out, right? This whole discussion of the things you cut out.
No, this is in.
Oh no,
this is in at the end for those who want that sweet BTS of the show. And then
even your social security number, Andy, you're gonna leave it.
I'm gonna bleep what you're saying. That's the one thing I edited. I bleeped you saying this hole, except all I bleeped was the and so I think it's
gotta bleep the
I think I did that on purpose to kind of be funny. Was like you say, because I didn't want it to sound like hole.
Right.
But I wanted it to be clear that it was penis hole. So
gotta keep the Andy. Always keep the
Yeah, but the rest of the episodes I don't actually edit. I just throw them into Adobe Podcast, and then I throw them in, and then I cut the beginning and the end.
Okay.
Well, and there was something I cut out. Oh, when you like started coughing in the Godzilla episode, I cut it.
Oh yeah.
And then there's a moment at the way end of the episode. After a little bit, there's like a little post credit of like you and me just laughing.
Well, you've heard it here first, folks. Andy, he's just a revisionist historian. He's edited my life into oblivion. I don't even know who my real parents are. And we'll catch you next week when we do more movies and madness and opinions and all that stuff.